in Santa Barbara is just all of the hidden gems. And I think a lot of us who come up here or move here aren't aware of the amazing companies and the technology and the things that are growing in Santa Barbara. The fluid stance boards that you see behind you, that was a speaker at Santa Barbara Entrepreneur a year ago, right? Just at the very beginning. Yeah. And so it's really cool to have these gems sort of show up. About a year ago, just about 10 months ago, I met a young woman who worked for a company called FastSpring, which I'd never heard of. And we met at a girls' weekend, camping, I think in a canoe. And she started telling me about her company, and she said, "Oh yeah, I work in Santa Barbara." And I was like, "You do too? Who are all these people?" So it really is exciting to see all of these companies and connections and relationships that can happen when you're in a canoe or out hiking, and that's part of what makes Santa Barbara, is that we really build relationships doing other things. FastSpring is a really exciting company. Chris, who's here to speak with us today, invested in FastSpring and took on the role of CEO after that investment. So what we're going to hear today is what made FastSpring a compelling investment, what would move Chris and his money up from Brentwood to Santa Barbara in order to grow the company, as well as just sort of some pivots and changes as the company goes from startup to a more institutionalized organization. So welcome, Chris Lueck. One other thing, we share a little rivalry. I got my master's at UCLA, you went to USC.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Right on.
And go Bruins. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Summer. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for coming. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah. Hey, Dan, can we not drill for 20 minutes? Thanks.
All right, so I speak fast, so if you need me to repeat anything, I won't be offended. So Summer invited me to come and talk. I know a lot of the discussions typically around starting a company, which I did start with an investment firm called Pylon Capital. So just a quick background. I was an engineer by trade, worked in hardware engineering. I went to USC to get an MBA, so different crosstown rivalry. And when I graduated, a partner and I, we set off and raised this investment fund. It's a model called a search fund, so you're searching for a company to acquire. So we had a group of investors who backed us. During that search, we came across FastSpring. So FastSpring was started here in Santa Barbara 11 years ago. Dan Engel, some of you may know, was one of the four founders of FastSpring. And so the company was mostly distributed. So Dan was based here when we started. Actually, when we came across FastSpring during our search, Dan had actually moved away. He's since moved back, but at the time he was not living here. So we had two employees here, and a contractor in a small office, and then everyone else was remote around the country. So that was a challenge for our investors to wrap their hands around a distributed workforce. I was much more comfortable with it. So kind of looking back, so this fund we raised called Pylon Capital, you're looking for a company that's growing, that's profitable, that has recurring revenue. So we were looking at software and SaaS companies as kind of our focus. Other search funds that have come about have acquired companies like fire alarm inspection services or insurance companies. So most of them are low tech. FastSpring is a little bit different than most search funds. And what attracted to me was strong recurring revenue. It's a growing company. It's in a space that it's competitive, but it's also a large market. And we had a really good rapport with Dan and his other founders. So we kind of built up that relationship during the diligence process.
At what point was the revenue that you that you considered the recurring revenue sufficient enough to talk about?
So our parameters during our search, we're looking for a company that had about 5 to 20 million in revenue, and 1.5 or more in EBITDA. EBITDA, if you don't know, it's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. EBITDA is basically a proxy for cash flow. So it's how much cash is the company generating. So going back to, we're looking for a profitable company. FastSpring had been profitable since 2009 and was just really starting to scale. 2012 when we started talking to the founders. So at the point, I think when we closed, we were about 8 million, and so that was a little over 3 years ago, March of 2013. my partner and I were based in LA when we were doing our search, and as part of the acquisition, the whole goal was to find a company that we could run. And so we moved from LA to Santa Barbara, and it's been a great run so far. I mean, some of our investors said, well, there's very few people in Santa Barbara. Why would you go to Santa Barbara? I think everyone knows the answer.
There are so few people.
Yeah, and so we set out to build a company here. My partner actually, he moved on and actually did another search and is running another software company now up in the Bay Area.
With the same set of investors?
Some of the same investors, yeah. And then actually a couple of the founders of FastSpring as well invested in that one. And so we bought the company, moved up here, and so we are in our third office here in Santa Barbara for the last 3 years. So we've doubled in 3 years and hoping to double even sooner. Actually, Brian just joined us 3 or 4 weeks ago to head up sales for us and accelerate that growth further.
In finding a company that you could invest in and run, what was that like? A lot of founders, we create companies, we don't want to let them go, that's not our vision. Like I have so much ego, I actually named my company after me. So what was the process of identifying a company that you could acquire and run, and how did that conversation go with founders?
Yes, I mean that's a great question because
we ask really great questions that you see.
A lot of founders, right? They don't want to give up control.
Yeah.
But so Dan and his partners, they were each specialized in their own areas and didn't necessarily like the aspects of actually managing people necessarily. Not to put words in their mouths, but I think they would all agree that was not something they were exceptionally excited about.
Their ideas guys, not operations.
Exactly, yeah. And so they got into a good scale, but for them, and they were all multi-time entrepreneurs, but none of them had really grown a company more than kind of where they got into FastSpring. So they felt the need to bring on some additional resources. We're actually in the market looking for a partner to bring on. So we, through happenstance and luck, got connected with them, and there were other companies that were looking at FastSpring at the time, and we really had a shared vision to continue growing the company. So it was partly luck, but also I think our vision for the company was very much aligned with what they envisioned as well.
So at the time when you came on, you said that there was a handful of people in Santa Barbara, and then now it's basically pretty distributed. So was most of their workforce at that point in sort of the support, customer success roles essentially, so they sort of station around the country and maybe working from home, let's say, and get a call from a customer having trouble with their install or something like that?
Yeah. So most of the people on the team at that point were support, and it's very technical support. So most of the people work from home, exactly. A lot were contractors, and so we most of those people are still with FastSpring. Some of them have transitioned out over the last couple of years. Then here in Santa Barbara, we've got 33. Does that sound right? I don't know. So we're a little over 30 people here in Santa Barbara now, and I think 46, 47 total.
And so you're still keeping the same sort of focus, it's just you're transitioning now to more centralized workplace essentially.
Exactly, yeah. So trying as much as we can, trying to centralize here in Santa Barbara. We've got a little pocket in San Francisco, a little pocket in Lincoln, Nebraska. We've got 3 people, we'll have 4 people there pretty soon.
Who would your ideal client be?
Oh yes, I didn't even talk about what we do. Let's get
down to it.
So FastSpring, it's a cloud-based platform for companies that sell digital goods to enable them to sell online globally. So a typical customer would be a software company that is selling online, B2C, so business to consumer, and they are using our platform so they can, basically we're the plumbing behind the buy button. So they've got their website that they've developed, they've got the product page for the product they're selling, and we're basically everything behind the buy button. So when you're on one of our customers' websites and you say, all right, I want to buy this software, click the buy button, you then get a FastSpring order page. And so we basically do the payment processing, we do the order fulfillment, we act as what's called a merchant of record. So we are reselling our customers' products and services to consumers around the world. And so they're paying FastSpring because we are the ones that are selling it. So we settle the funds, we take a cut of that, and we send the rest to our customers. So we allow our customers to be able to accept payments in, I think, 20 currencies, 20-something payment methods around the world. So like you can pay in euros in Netherlands with Ideal, which is this bank transfer method in Netherlands, and rubles in Russia with webmoney, so things like that. And then we translate our order pages to localize them further, and really trying to put out functionality and features that help our customers to grow their revenue further, and basically open up new markets for them.
What are the benefits of using you compared to the other 74 other companies that do the same thing that you do?
That's a good question also. So we really only focus on digital goods. So we don't support commerce for any physical products. And so because of that, our laser focus on digital goods, software, subscriptions for SaaS or digital media, ebooks, any digital content that you would sell online. And because of that, so we've got integrations with DRM, with licensing, activation solutions, things that most of the 74 other solutions don't really focus on. They're focused on the broader market of e-commerce, which is a much bigger market than our niche, but way more competitive, and you've got a lot more competitors there that focus on, hey, company wants to sell shoes online, t-shirts, whatever, right? So it's pretty basic functionality to support shipping and order management of physical goods, not necessarily things that support the tradition of digital goods or subscription management, subscription billing.
So you support it, you do everything so if somebody develops this product, it's a software product, you package it, you ship it, you support it, you do everything.
Well, so we're not shipping. Well, so we're shipping it through just electronic means. So you can download, you can get an email link, you can get an activation code, but yeah, it's all electronic transmission.
So you'll handle a monthly billing subscription service?
We do, yeah, and different types of, so if it's metered or if it's just kind of recurring the same month, if it's prorating for upgrades or upsells or downgrades.
What has been the biggest challenge you've had in Santa Barbara, unique to Santa Barbara or unique to FastSpring?
So the two issues that we had a long time were travel. So it's not easy to get here, and I go up to the Bay Area almost every month. And, your flight sucks. It's gotten better. They actually made the planes bigger, but it's still, I travel last minute, so it's $1,000 flight. Surfair has alleviated that. The other challenge that we had was recruiting. Just being a small company, not having a name in the community made it a challenge to recruit. And so we do sponsorships of different organizations around town, including the MIT Central Coast Enterprise Forum, the Boys and Girls Club, and the Food Bank, and just trying to get our name out there. And then also just, I meet with a lot of people and just trying to get FastSpring out there. And so we've gotten a good scale. We're a little over 30 now, and we're getting people from a lot of companies here in town that will help to hopefully further bring more. So recruiting has been a challenge, and it's still a little bit of a challenge, but we've gotten to the point where it's getting easier.
Do you think people in Santa Barbara have a different perception of what their compensation package or their work-life balance might be that's a differentiator for, that could almost be like a recruiting asset for your company?
Yes, so I envision more of a Silicon Valley type of culture, right? And it took me a little while to adjust. I mean, Santa Barbara, some of the companies here, like Citrix has a great example. I mean, they have a great work-life balance that they've empowered their employees with. And it took me a little bit of time to accept that, but it works. And I think that Auntie and Salita and Brian would agree there's some balance there, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
It's a great place to work.
Sorry for
Oh, like they're gonna say
I
no,
know.
right?
Not to
Like
put her
any
on
of
the
us are gonna
spot.
say no.
We'll check out later
Come
when
on.
you're not around and see what she has to say.
I mean, I know they're plans,
Pay me later,
but exactly. As you guys grow, what areas and sectors do you think you're going to grow in? What, as Monty asked, key client now versus key client in 2 years?
Yeah, so historically, we've been focused on SMBs, small and medium-sized businesses, and really the small, kind of 1 to 5 people companies. That's been the core of our customer base. Over the last couple of years, we've been moving up market, so we've got more middle market companies as well as enterprises. So Adobe, Random House, Verisk are all customers of FastSpring. So we're really moving more in that direction.
Seems like publishing and education are a fast-growing market in that, especially subscription education models.
Yeah, so that's there. So Yale University Press, the University of Minnesota Extension, those are also FastSpring customers, and so we've got a lot of little niches that we've gotten a few customers in, and I think one of the things that Brian's gonna focus on and getting more in those particular verticals.
I mean, as you try to go for, let's say, larger companies, I mean, I'm assuming that Salesforce is a huge competitor because they can just make their argument of, horizontal integration of, you already use this for your CRM, so, we can help you manage all the, payment processing and subscription management. That sort of, I don't know if they actually have those products yet. I'm assuming that they really have them on their radar. So.
Yeah, so they do not. They acquired a company called Demandware, which is an enterprise level e-commerce platform, but they focus on huge brands. I mean, they're 7-figure deals.
Okay, and so I guess is that your guys' sort of competitive argument then? Is that, well, they don't even, miss your business with 10, 15 employees. They literally couldn't care less about you. If you need support, they're not going to support you the way we will. They cost way more. Those are the basic arguments.
Exactly, and they don't. And there's nothing in the Salesforce ecosystem that does subscription billing, subscription management.
Oh, okay.
So, and actually, we look at Salesforce as a partner. So we've got customers who use Salesforce for their CRM. So
you want to integrate with them?
Yeah. And so they can get their FastSpring data into their Salesforce.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So you work with them then?
Yes.
Oh, it's always better to work with them.
With regards to recruiting, what talent are you looking for right now? What are you looking to expand the team with?
Awesome, thank you. SDRs,
Who here wants to
and account executives. You guys can talk to, if you
Okay.
can talk to Brian.
Sales side,
And,
okay.
We just hired a few people on the marketing side. 3 people in marketing. So I think we're taking a little bit of a hiatus there, but I expect towards the end of the year we'll be adding more on the marketing side. And
you had mentioned on our call that there was a tech side, on the technical side, there was some need.
Yeah, so the biggest thing would be software engineers. We're Java, so finding that's actually still the challenge in Santa Barbara is finding experienced Java developers for web apps. There's Java developers that have done a lot of kind of legacy software, so Java developers that have done web apps, that's still the biggest challenge in Santa Barbara.
It's interesting because we have had so many CEOs share with us that need, that there is an absence of developers and developer talent here, that somebody who's a Santa Barbara entrepreneur should fill that need. Like, make a business finding and drawing and attracting these types of people, because we know in our community that is a big gap toward our technical success. So it's you're not the first person who has expressed that need, of course. So it's interesting. What I'd like to ask you guys, who works in the world of SaaS or tech? Who's got, okay. So were you familiar with FastSpring prior to this conversation? Oh, you knew personally? Okay. What do you think has made FastSpring different in Santa Barbara than some of the other companies that have not been successful? Because obviously you're 11 years in, or yeah. Like what do you think?
I think?
Yeah, and what do you think?
I really don't know much more.
You don't know much about them? Okay.
Well, it was pretty easy that he was able to come in and buy a company that already went through the startup phase. So it was a less of a calculated risk that he was willing to invest into. Because obviously he probably paid more than what a startup business would be.
I mean, obviously, like with the initial success of FastSpring, I mean, Dan was an innovative guy, right? I mean, he's a guy who founded Picasa, right? He worked at Google for a while, and so I think he's a smart guy who saw an opening and he was right, and then executed on it. But yeah, I guess at some point, ran into the issue of, well, geez, I want to build cool new technologies rather than run the operations of a growing company that's more service oriented at this point. Now that the platform is actually built, so yeah, it seemed like a good time to sort of hand it off to someone who focus on building a business rather than building technology.
Yeah, so the profile for what we're looking for from an acquisition standpoint was a company that had product market fit already. So they certainly reached this scale, and they didn't want to keep growing very much. They focus on the nitty-gritty. That's not someone's expertise.
What got you to where you were before you invested? What was your, you went to USD and got your MBA, but what put you through that process, and how did you get to the inception of this FastSpring cycle?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I was on the engineering side, beginning my career, but always had more of an interest in kind of the business side, and so I started at Qualcomm, and I was much more interested in the earnings reports and listening to conference calls than doing my actual work, and tried numerous times to make moves within Qualcomm to something non-engineering, which didn't work out. So that was part of the reason to go to business school, is to basically give me the, something to show, hey, I can move over to the business side. So while at business school, learned about this concept called the search fund. If anyone's interested, Stanford has a research center devoted to search funds. If you Google search funds, you'll see the link for Stanford. They've got a 100-page primer that tells you everything you need to know about raising a search fund. So there was nothing unique that we did. I think it's just there's a playbook out there, and following that playbook.
I mean, what's sort of the argument is like, we're smart guys, we understand technology, come invest with us, we will guide your money to profitable ends, essentially. Is that the...
I mean, yeah, for most guys, not smart guys for me, but just I guess hungry, right? You're roll your sleeves, you're going to do the work, and so these investors, then search funds, they take a portfolio approach. So our investors are invested in something like 30 search funds, so some of them won't work out, some of them will. Some will have different successes, but they're not venture capital investors. So they're not looking for 10x return, they're looking for 3x return.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
How many clients did you say you have right now?
So we've got 3,000 around the world, and so let's see, 45% of our of the buyers, of the people who are buying the software or other goods from us, are in the U.S. So 55% are international, and then on the seller side, it's about the same. 60% are international, 40% are here in the U.S. So it's a very distributed business.
Any final questions or?
Yeah, I have a question. What type of products or services do you offer to assist companies? Like, I did a startup company 5 months ago. I started with 11 people. I've got 900 people in my organization right now, doing roughly about 1 to 2 million in sales per month. What type of services do you offer to assist an old guy like me that's not communication literate? I'm not technology literate. How do I keep in contact with the entire sales force, giving them new information and ideas and suggestions?
So we focus really just on online sales. So we're not it sounds like you got some kind of sales management or sales enablement. Are you talking about your customers or your salespeople?
Sales.
Yeah, so we're just focusing on online sales and
On the transaction side of online sales as opposed to acquisition.
So we're not
Not communications then.
correct. But we do have a professional services team that helps to integrate our software into your web app, or even if you're selling a downloadable app, we've got in-app purchasing, and we help assist. We'll assist kind of the integration on various aspects.
That sounds good, like Slack.
In closing, I think what has been your biggest leadership lesson and leadership piece of advice? What would you recommend to anyone stepping into a leadership role in a new environment?
People look to you, right? So they're watching every move. So when you come in, everything you do, even if you don't think, you don't think, if you're just going about and something innocuous, someone could take it the wrong way, and people are watching every move and trying to read what your intentions or motives and seeing if there's something other than what you're saying. And so just recognizing that took me a while to understand that
Everything matters,
yeah,
even if you're like, I just got coffee.
Yeah,
It matters.
I'm literally saying this, but someone may be thinking, why is he saying this?
Or I can't believe he said that.
Or that, yes.
You have a new salesperson that's been here a week and you're not gonna put him on the hot seat at all? You don't wanna see if he can sink or swim yet?
Yeah.
If we have time for that, Brian, you want to?
Yeah, Brian, okay, we have time for that. Yeah, come on. Give us your elevator. What does week 3 look like for you?
What does week 3 look like?
Let's see what you're made of.
Yeah, well, I guess, just to piggyback on the last question, the biggest leadership lesson I've learned is you're always on show. You're always on show.
Yes.
And as soon as you understand that, you can really enable your folks to follow in your footsteps, which is sometimes really hard as a leader. To always be on show. But I don't know, what questions do you guys have for me?
Why did you pick the
3
job?
weeks of knowledge.
Yeah, why did you pick the job?
Why did I pick the job? That's a really good question. A big part of it was Chris. We were talking for, 9 months. It took a while. I was very happy where I was. I was doing a great job, had a really wonderful place that I was working at that I had, kind of helped grow from a really small company to a larger one.
Which is where?
At Folio. And so what, I guess I wasn't looking, but what drew me to FastSpring was Chris and his excitement, and then the business side as well. It's an incredible business that has gotten to this point without expertise from somebody like myself building and scaling a sales team. And so the opportunity is just huge. It's made it here kind of organically, and Chris has spent the last 3 years changing the trajectory from here to here, and I know we can get it to, so that's kind of what brought me here.
That's a pretty good job, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. All right, yeah, keep the job. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Chris, thank you very much. We will have this interview or this conversation available by way of FirstClick. You guys will put it up on the internet?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be there.
And we'll post the link on our meetup. Next time we are meeting on September 14th with our presenter will be Jackie Burke of Desk Yogi. She came out of lynda.com and used to run big divisions at lynda.com, but wanted to take on health and workplace more, so she created Desk Yogi. It's a business that's operated out of Ojai and works in Santa Barbara as well. So stay tuned for that. We are also looking for sponsors for Santa Barbara Entrepreneur. Impact Hub has been very generous to give us this space for a month, but they just sent me a bill. So, sponsor, yes.
I can spot J-Down Gallery downtown.
Ah,
Right.
okay, another space, another
We
sponsor.
can hold about 100 people in there. We hosted World Business Academy in there for 2 years for their monthly meetings. So this group would fit in there no problem.
All right, let's talk.
Yeah, and it's nice and quiet down there. There's a coffee shop right next door. Everything you need.
Excellent.
I'll
Thank
show
you.
something. Yoga
Okay.
studio. You gonna yoga
Thank
before
you.
and after?
Yeah. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Feel free to shoot me a LinkedIn, and if you want to grab coffee, always open to grab coffee.
Thank you guys.